Okay. Welcome everybody to Tuesday night's Wake Up Yes gathering at the Dallas Meditation Center. It's nice to be with you here online, even though we can't meet in person. It's been really lovely having the technology and the opportunity to continue meeting in this format. So after a couple of weeks, we're getting a little bit more used to it. So this is the Tuesday night, which for those of you who are new is a group that is devoted to supporting our community of young adults, 20s and 30s. It's by no means exclusive to anyone outside of that age range. It's simply that this is a group that has the intention of providing a nurturing environment for that group of people to gather. It's one of my favorite gatherings at the Dallas Meditation Center, and I'm happy that you're here. If you're an old participant, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome for the first time. If you are new, just follow along, and we'll just take it one step at a time. So to begin, we will, let's see. If you could be patient with this all the technology that makes this run is very, very new, and it's a little bit complicated. So I'm doing my best here. To begin, we will just say hello. The way that I'm set up right now, I'm not very able to see the YouTube chat messages coming in. But as I'm giving this introduction, if you'd like to say hello, maybe say a little bit about something you're grateful for, something about your meditation practice, it'd be lovely to read that from you. I may have to read it after the gathering, but those of you who are sitting in front of a computer or a screen that the chats are coming through, go ahead and you can read those silently. As you read everyone's check-in, you can just listen. The idea is to listen, to really take in that there are other people here in the room with you and that we're together, and everyone is coming with their own set of thoughts and emotions and sensations and things that they bring. So maybe take a few moments now and in the coming moments to just appreciate whatever anyone's saying in the chat box. Again, I really wish that I had set it up so I could see it and see you all. But if you come around after the YouTube live stream to the Facebook or to the Zoom room, we can have a little more discussion there. Speaking of which, to get this out of the way here at the beginning, this gathering on YouTube live stream will be streamed through the sitting practice, through a talk, and then after the talk we're going to change over to a Zoom meeting. Some of you already have the Zoom meeting link, but if you don't, I will put it in the chat box at the end of our gathering here on YouTube. So I'll do that at the end of our gathering here. The reason that we're switching to Zoom, for those of you who are new, the reason why we switched to Zoom to do our discussion is because YouTube is obviously recording, and everything that is on the YouTube live stream will be posted in public. So we have a Zoom room that is private, that is not being recorded, so that you can actually have a discussion with the comfort of knowing that no one's recording what you're saying, and it's not going to be posted for everyone and their neighbor on YouTube. So that's the intention behind our use of two platforms in our gatherings right now. So maybe some of you have been able to read some of the check-ins. I hope you've enjoyed them. I hope everyone's doing well. And let's begin with our opening affirmation. So if this is new to you, just follow along. Usually we recite this together, but because everyone doesn't have our program sitting in front of them, what we're going to do is I'll just recite one line, and you can silently or out loud there in your home say it to yourself, and just follow along. We'll begin with 3 sounds of the bell. So as you hear the sound of the bell, allow it to invite you back into an awareness of the present moment. So listening to 3 sounds of the bell, I return to my true home, resting in the present moment. May we and all beings be happy and free. May we and all beings transform our suffering. May we and all beings rejoice in all joys. May we and all beings be at peace. Awakening to the truth of who we are, infinite light, infinite love, infinite life. We'll bow with the sound of the small bell. When we bow, for those of you who are new, we are only bowing to our own awareness here. We're bowing out of an honoring of our awareness, our presence. We're bowing to honor the others who have gathered here with us, and we're bowing to honor the space and the practice that we share. So there's no obligation to bow, but just to clarify, that's really what we're bowing to when we bow here. Okay. So usually if we were gathering in person, we would have walking meditation right now. Since we are not in a physical space together, we are going to skip our usual walking meditation and instead move immediately into our sitting practice. I encourage you, if you like, since we're not walking, how about we just come into our bodies a little bit today before we sit too much, before we get into our seated practice. So maybe just sit upright and feel your shoulders. You might roll your shoulders up and roll them back. Maybe do that a few times. A lot of us are in the house a lot these days, and we might be more sedentary than usual. So getting some movement, intentional movement into the joints can be useful. Roll forward now. And bring the arms to rest. On an inhale, you can stretch the arms out. Bring the hands overhead. And stretch as though the fingers are going to touch the ceiling. And sweeping the hands out as though the fingers are going to brush all the walls around you. Your arms are stretching out as far as they can. And exhaling down to the ground. And inhaling back up. Imagining energy moving from the bottom of the tailbone up through the spine, out the top of the head, through the arms, the fingers up to the sky. Fill the lungs and exhale, bring the arms back down. Maybe give a wiggle or a shake to the spine, maybe to the head, coming into the body with a little bit of movement. Okay. Now, for sitting meditation, if you are new to sitting meditation, no worries, just follow along. I'll give some guided instruction through much of the practice, not all of it, but maybe for the first half of the practice, maybe at the end as well. Just follow along. There's nothing too difficult. And most importantly for everyone is this practice can be something that you enjoy. It's not something that needs to be work or a self-improvement project or somehow fixing yourself or getting somewhere. So really just smile and enjoy, and this is time for you to really appreciate being alive here in the present moment, not only with yourself, but in this very fortunate opportunity to be practicing in a group of many, many people. So with that said, I'm going to turn off the webcam so that it won't be too distracting during this practice. I'll turn it back on when we're done. Okay. Listening to the sound of the bell, we arrive again in the present moment. Establishing, to begin, a comfortable posture in the body. You can be seated. You could also be standing, or you could be laying down. If you're laying down, the suggestion is to keep the eyes slightly open and to maintain an intention of alertness, to stay awake. Whatever posture you choose, allow the back to be upright or straight in alignment. If you're sitting, the back is drifting up, elongated upwards. The neck is in line with the spine. You could imagine a thread coming through the very top of the skull, pulling up towards the ceiling and lengthening the spine. It's upright but not strained. There's still relaxation in the back, in the spine. The chin can be slightly tucked. The eyes may be closed or open. If you choose to leave the eyes open, maybe just leave them halfway open with a soft gaze. It's not really focusing too strenuously on any single point. The arms and the hands are relaxed, with the palms resting on the thighs. Or you might rest one hand inside another in the lap. Just finding a place where your hands and arms can feel comfortable and relaxed. The legs also are stable and still, and the hips are comfortable. You might experiment with rocking the spine back and forth in the bowl of the pelvis, maybe in circles until you find a point that feels balanced, that feels stable, not leaning forward, not leaning back. And when you've arrived at a stable posture, take some slow, deep, intentional breaths, allowing the lungs to expand. And when you're ready, exhaling, really releasing any stale air or energy from the lungs. Perhaps exhaling more than usual, and inhaling again, a deep breath. Doing this 2 or 3 times, really enjoying and appreciating the awareness of the sensations of the breathing without any rush, exploring the sensation of breathing. And when you feel complete, finally release all control of the breathing, allowing the breath to flow as it naturally would, in and out of the body. No controlling, no straining, making room for the breath to move. Once again, arriving in the present moment, here and now, releasing any thoughts about the past, whether distant or recent, and releasing all thoughts about the future. Bringing the attention here and now to the real life that is unfolding in this moment. Taking a moment to notice or to inquire within your own heart, what is most important right now? What is my intention in practicing? And listen quietly and receptively for the answer. And now bringing mindful awareness to the body. as we become aware of the body, most likely we also become aware of the sensations of breathing. So there's no need to cling too tightly to the breath. Rather, allow it to arise within the field of a spacious awareness that is able to notice with mindfulness the sensations of the breath and the sensations of the body. Allowing the attention to have a wide aperture to include the field of the body of which the breath is a part. You might allow the awareness to scan through the body in any way that feels enjoyable to you. You may wish a very orderly scan from the top of the head down through the torso into the feet, top to bottom. Or you may simply notice where the awareness is naturally drawn, the natural curiosity and investigative quality of mindful awareness, the natural intelligence and inquisitiveness of awareness. Cultivating a sense of trust in your own ability to navigate this field of experience. And whatever sensation you find the awareness dwelling upon, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, explore what it's like to make space around it, to widen the awareness around that experience, so that it's floating in a wide open space, unconstricted and unconstrained, and yet fully present and aware. If the attention wanders to thinking, whether about past or future or something imaginary, this is not a problem. Simply notice. And while noticing the thinking, see if you can notice the physical sensation, the energetic sensation in the field of the body that is associated with that thought. Rather than shutting out the thinking, we can use it to orient our awareness back to our body. The thought may have a sensation related to it, a tightening, perhaps, or a clenching, or a fuzziness, or a softness, a sadness, or a irritation. Simply notice. And once you notice the sensation, you can allow the attention to turn away gently from the thought and rest on the sensation itself. Continually returning to the field of bodily sensation, the dynamic flow and pulse and tingle of shifting energy that is the field of the body. Bringing a wide and compassionate and spacious awareness to the field of the body, calming, collecting, soothing the energies that it finds. Infusing all of the activities being offered in this instruction is a very simple and direct and easy energy of resting. There's a resting in the awareness. Please release all striving and effort and rest in the awareness. Nowhere to go and nothing to do. Simply expanding the field of mindfulness. If the attention wanders to thinking, returning again and again, the very gentle attitude, a peaceful attitude, returning to the sensations of the body and the breathing. In these last few moments, an invitation to return to your intention, which you inquired into at the beginning of our session. And making the most of these last few moments to not only be aware of the body, but perhaps to appreciate and enjoy this relaxed and spacious awareness of the body and of the breathing. And when the bell sounds, the invitation is to hear it as a reminder to remain aware in the present moment. Rather than being a bell of ending the session, it is a bell of mindfulness to continue to wake us up. And placing the hands together at the heart, at the sound of the small bell, we will bow to our practice and to each other. And now you might want to stretch your legs, maybe massage your feet or your legs. Just take a few moments to become comfortable again if you have experienced any kind of strain as a result of sitting this long. As you practice over time, as some of you probably have already learned, being able to remain still in a seated posture actually becomes easier. I'm going to talk a little bit about the body today because our theme for today's talk is embodied awareness. So as you take a moment to stretch and massage your feet or whatever you need to do, I'll just say, yeah, as you sit and the body begins to calm and become more comfortable around the postures of meditation, it does become easier to sit. So if you're new and struggling, it's okay. Also, if you're new and struggling, there's a lot of ways to adjust your cushions, your position. You don't need to sit cross-legged on the floor. You can sit in a chair to make yourself comfortable. Over time, if you would like to sit cross-legged on the floor for longer periods of time, a gentle yoga practice really helps a lot. Yoga in general is quite useful for bringing a gentle and spacious attention into the sensations of the body, strengthening and relaxing the muscles that are necessary for sitting for longer periods of time. So you don't need to go crazy and do a lot of core intensity, fast flow, ashtanga, vinyasa, very intense practices. Just a gentle stretching practice, maybe with some intentional breathing, is really going to take you quite a long way to becoming more comfortable in a seated position. So I encourage you to do that, especially now that many of us are indoors a lot. We're not going out so much. Having a yoga practice can be really useful right now. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and get started with the talk. I put together a few notes today on the topic of embodied awareness, and as usual, we'll see what happens where these notes end up going or not going. But my intention is to share with you just some perspectives and instructions that might be useful to you in your practice. So as many of my talks are focused, I'm very interested in the practical aspects of meditation. The philosophical and theoretical aspects are also quite interesting, but they don't get you very far. Ultimately, each one of us needs to make our own relationship with practice and learn how to orient ourselves in a field of endeavor or experience that really requires a lot of inner orientation, inner awareness. No one can meditate for you. So it's good to actually talk with our sangha friends, not just about the philosophy, but about what practice is really like for us. So today I'll be focusing on the body. So let's just start with this. When I say the word body, what comes to mind? It sounds quite simple, but really, really contemplate. When I say the word body, or when you say my body, what comes to mind for you? What ideas, what emotions, what comes up? And now really contemplate for a moment, how do you relate to your body? How do you relate with embodiment, that we are in a physical body? we experience the physical body. How do you relate with your body? And there could be a whole range of answers to that. And the answers aren't static. We all have a variety of different experiences with everything, our body included. So some things that might come up are a sense of appreciation. A sense of criticism is quite common with the body. Criticizing the body for not being this. Or alternatively criticizing it in a kind of inflating way of like, oh, how beautiful my body is, how strong my body is, or how weak I am, how scrawny I am, or I'm too bald, there's too much hair here, or there's too little hair here, all the things, the criticisms we have about our bodies sometimes. How do you relate to your body? And is there any sense of appreciation or even wonder for your body? Just some things to consider, your day-to-day relationship with your body. And whatever answers come to mind, to notice the tone of that perspective on your body. What does that particular way of relating with your body feel like? What's the felt sense of that relationship? Just to notice. Quite simply, this is what is your body? When I say body, what is your body? Really think about it. Really consider, what is your body to you? So, one way of understanding the body, which is heavily promoted in our visually oriented, media-driven culture, is the idea of the body that is visible, the body that you can see. You look at a photograph, or you look in a mirror. The body that can be seen is what many people think of when they think of their body. What's really interesting about that is that by identifying with the body that we can see, take a moment as an experiential exploration to really arrive in this moment, and from wherever you're sitting or standing, ask yourself, what is the body that I can see? And look for your body visibly. Visually look for your body. You might look at your hands. You might see your feet, maybe your belly, your chest. But notice that there's huge expanses of your body that are completely invisible to you if you're identifying with the visible body. For example, I encourage you to try to look at the back of your head right now, or look at the space between your shoulder blades. Look at your own face right now without using a mirror. So, without giving too much of a good or bad evaluation of what you're finding, what I'd like to say is that the idea that the visible body is your body is actually has some complications to it when it comes to relating with your own experience, because I can't actually see a lot of my body a lot of the time. I definitely can't see the inside of my body. If I can, there's probably something wrong. You need to call an ambulance. Can't see the inside. So the visual sense of the body is quite limited in understanding the body. But just to say, it is heavily promoted as what our body is in our advertising culture. Another way of understanding the body is what I call the imaginary body. Not imaginary, well, maybe in the sense of fantasy, but imaginary in the sense of being a set of images or ideas. And this is what we can understand as the anatomy textbook body. So I can imagine the different bones and organs and blood vessels and nerves um, that are in there. Um, there's an image, there's a concept, there's a diagram. It's an idea. This is an anatomy textbook sense of the body. That's another way of relating with the body that is highly intellectual. Um, and then there's quite a radically different orientation to the body or understanding of the body, which is what I'd really like to arrive at as we introduce the meditation instruction. And that is to begin to explore the direct felt experience of the body. So, closing the eyes, simply noticing the body, dropping the textbook imagery of the body, dropping the diagram of the bones and organs, just allowing that to drift away, dropping this external visual view of the body, which is actually quite incomplete to your own eyes. And in this moment, exploring what it's like to bring the awareness into this pulsing, tingling, shifting field of energetic experience that is directly felt. Not the body as an image, but the body as a living reality. Not the body that has discrete names for different parts, but the body that really has no name and that is always shifting and changing. The living body. Noticing the fingers, the belly, the chest. Okay. Noticing the itch in the eye. So that's what I would like to encourage us to begin practicing with when we consider the word body, when we consider what is meant by mindfulness of the body. In fact, in the sutra on the foundations of mindfulness, when the Buddha describes mindfulness of the body, he describes it in a very particular way. He says mindfulness of the body in the body, which may sound a little esoteric, but I think this is what was trying to be communicated, the experience of the body from within itself, to direct felt experience of the body, not an imagined or a conceptual experience. So this pulse of energy, of course, relates very closely with what we experience as emotions and moods. There is one teacher who described emotions as this combination of a thought and a sensation. But there's an energetic quality within the field of the body that is a mood or an emotion, and is also associated with a lot of this flow of energy through the body too. Has a certain emotional tone to it much of the time. So that field that we experience, especially if we're not used to coming home to an awareness of the body very often, if meditation's really new to us, or if it's not new to us, but we have a particularly skillful habit of tuning out what we're feeling, then when we come into the body to experience what's there, we often find some tightness, some clenching, some pressure, um, and those kinds of feelings uh, can be associated quite closely with emotions like anxiety, um, craving, worry, defensiveness, blaming. Um, we talk about these mental states as though they were somehow this free floating thing, like emotions, like they float around, and they get stuck here or stuck there. Or where are they coming from? But looking quite closely, these emotional energies really are direct felt sensations within the field of the body, and can be related with as such um, to a really good effect, because we're actually meeting the reality of the energies. Um, Now, these uncomfortable feelings or tensions that arise within the field of the body, um, when they really get quite intense, there can be a tendency for the sense of the person, or the sense of the identity, or the sense of who we are, to kind of contract around them. Um, we start feeling ourselves as this contained, um, walled off, held together, like trying to hold ourselves together to contain these uncomfortable energies of not only the more complex layer of the emotion of worry, of anxiety, of irritation, but even the underlying um, energetic tension that's associated with them, the ground of those emotions. Um, and that sense of closing off can create a sense of separateness, um, and kind of like this existential angst and anxiety of being separate, of needing to protect oneself, or hold things together, or something's going to happen. Um, it's this walling off and the inability to be with those energies and open and expand around them that drives a lot of our compulsive habits. So, all the ways that we try to cover up, or run from, or numb out the discomfort of being with the field of energy that's the body, when things are a little bit crunchy or edgy or tense inside. Um, so we run. We, in one way or another, we run. We overwork. We think a lot. We just continue to daydream or ruminate on memories, or um, we continually read, or we continually watch Netflix, or um, you drink a little bit of this, or you smoke a little bit of that. You stay really busy. Um, you're constantly picking up the phone and calling someone. Um, all kinds of things. Um, when it comes to certain coping mechanisms that we have, like workaholism, unfortunately, we have aspects of our culture that will not only uh, tolerate our methods of running, but actually will promote and celebrate the ways that we avoid our feelings. We have an incredibly workaholic world that we live in. And I think a lot of the anxiety that's being felt right now is that people can't use their, and when I say right now, I mean now that we're in lockdown, now that people I need to stay at home and have to be with themselves. I notice many people that I'm hearing from and talking with, there's this sense of real emotional ups and downs, and feeling of real what people are describing as an emotional instability, and feeling a bit like they're crazy. And I have the sense that a part of what's happening is that we are all kind of in a, whether we like it or not, kind of an enforced meditation retreat environment, where a lot of our go-to methods for blowing off steam and escaping and running are no longer available. So what we're noticing is all of the craziness that's always there, only now we can't run. So we are seeing it really, really clearly. It can be challenging in moments, amusing in other moments. But if we use it in a wise way, it can really be an opportunity to learn a lot about how our minds work. This isn't just how our minds work when we're in quarantine or in lockdown. This is how our minds work all the time, only now we're noticing. So, not to digress too far in that direction, but we have these feelings that bubble up inside of us, often associated, they trigger off a lot of thinking. And what I would encourage us to do is to start practicing with, instead of covering or turning away, to turn towards those feelings. As we did in the guided practice a moment ago, to bring an awareness into the body. Now, the sense of closing off and clenching is already going to be there a lot of the time. So what's really important is when you bring that awareness into the body, is to bring it in with intention and space. What these experiences need is space. Not space that's pushing them away, but a space that says, okay, it's okay that you're here. Welcome, I'm with you. You have room to breathe. You can be just as you are, and there's plenty of room. It's compassionate. It's a non-aggressive energy that this awareness brings into the body. This attitude of kindness and compassion is essential to a stable and calm meditation practice. If you come to meditation with an attitude of, I'm going to get something out of this, or I'm going to get somewhere, I'm going to get enlightened, I'm going to defeat all of my afflictions, I'm never going to be angry again, I'm never going to be sad again, I'm going to be joyful all the time, this pressure is contracting. Just come with an open heart. Just open. Whatever's here is okay, and I'm going to meet it with compassion. I'm going to meet it with kindness. And this is my moment to practice. It's a generous awareness, a spacious awareness. So just for a moment, notice any moments of contraction you experienced in the last few days, the last week, moments of discomfort that you really wanted to get out of. Like, make this stop. I want this over. And just for a moment, allow yourself to imagine what it might be like to experience the exact same feeling, only with the confidence that you can be with it in a spacious way and without using any other external props. You would be able to relax and soothe and calm that feeling until you feel peaceful and joyful. Just consider what that might be like. And I offer that as something to consider, that this is the freedom, this is the liberation from suffering that we're talking about. It's not an abstract thing. It's, when we're suffering, the ability to become free from it in a very direct, immediate way, right here in this body. And that's the practice that I'd like to talk about a little bit more, or that we've been talking about, really. So as you go into the field of the body and bring this awareness into the body, you'll notice these areas that some are more tense, some are more energetic, some are more bouncy, some are more buzzy, some are more edgy. It's like all of these different parts that are scattered around. When you expand that awareness through the field of the body, really expanding with the intention of soothing and calming, it's almost like you're petting your cat or your dog, just soothing, using the breath to soothe the body. I heard a phrase that I really, really appreciated this week, related to how to breathe in meditation, and it was breathe like you love yourself. Breathe like you love yourself. Breathe as though that breath is communicating and bringing love into the body, bringing compassion, peace, kindness, open-heartedness into the body. And in the same way as the breath can do that, the awareness itself can do that too. And I invite you to start practicing in that way. What happens is, as the awareness begins to touch all of these places that seem separate, there's a buzz up here, and there's a tickle down here, and there's a clenching over here, and they seem like they're in different places. You go inside, and it's like you're looking at a map of different countries. What that awareness does, as it scans through the body, as it meets all of these areas, there's a sense of the frayed edges kind of smoothing out. There's a sense of the gathering of energy, the gathering of all of these areas into a unified field. And that unified field is this space of awareness itself. It's like imagining a bubble kind of expanding to finally fill the whole body. And not only the body that ends at the visual body of the skin, but closing the eyes, that body could really be quite expansive, well beyond the borders of the visual sense of the body. But that awareness includes everything into a unified field, and the energies come together. It's the unification of the energy, which is what is meant by the word concentration. So when you're talking about meditation, you hear the word concentration quite frequently. And this is what's meant by concentration, is there's a unification of the awareness and the field of in which the awareness moves. Everything's together. There's a togetherness here and now, right now, everything together. That's concentration. Sometimes you may hear about concentration talked about in a different way. There's different interpretations of that word that have developed over time and through different meditative traditions. One very common idea about concentration is to be single-pointed, one-pointed focus on a single area. So there's some meditation instructions in some traditions that say, bring your mindful attention just to the point here at the nostrils. And you leave it there. Don't put it anywhere else. And this is concentrating, stabilizing, a single-pointed awareness there at the nose. This kind of concentration, it is a certain kind of concentration, but there's some challenges to it. I think there's some confusion and there's some challenges to it. The first is, people do this, meditators will do this because it has a certain effect. It's a really powerful way to generate certain very focused, sometimes very pleasurable, very secluded mental states. So you can enter a mental state where the only thing in existence to your awareness in that moment is this mysterious pulse of energy at the tip of the nose, and there's nothing else in your universe. Tuning out all of the complexities of the rest of the world can manifest as an incredibly pleasant sensation to the mind and the body as it's relieved of the tension of needing to process a lot of things. This can be done as a way of very fierce and focused concentration. It's associated sometimes with what you'll hear about called jhana states. These jhanas are various levels of concentrated awareness. Again, there's nothing good or bad about these states. They're there, they're available to the meditator who wants to explore them. But being highly concentrated does not necessarily coincide with the opening of the heart. You can be very, very concentrated and become very irritated by the noise of your neighbor mowing the lawn while you're trying to meditate. And that's an indication that as far as the path of awakening to an open heart, to a spacious mind, to equanimity, to compassion, to an openness to all of experience, that concentration of that kind by itself isn't going to get you there. It can be a useful skill, but in and of itself it's not going to get you there. If you read the sutra on the um, mindfulness of breathing, nowhere in that sutra does the Buddha talk about this fierce single attention at the nostrils. He talks about awareness of breathing in and awareness of breathing out, calming the breath, calming the body. It's mindfulness is a spacious. It's spacious. It's not. It's not obsessive. It's not intense. It's not grasping at one place. So, um, so yeah, concentration, as I would like to describe it here, is actually quite calm, quite expansive. It's not constricting. Um, Within that expansive space, the energies that it encounters are collected, are soothed, collected together. In general, the breathing will become soft and stable. The body tends to become more comfortable. Um, and as the breath and the body become more comfortable, then that conditions the mind, the thoughts become calmer. And that in that space of calm openness, especially with the compassion, with the generosity involved, the heart has a chance to open. Um, so, as far as practice, that means allowing the breathing to be natural. Mindfulness of breathing doesn't have to be mindfulness of one single point unless you want it to be. It's okay if you want to do that. It really is, and it's useful sometimes. It doesn't have to be. Mindfulness of the breathing is simply being aware that there is breathing happening, however it's manifesting, whether it's just in one place or throughout the body. It's the awareness that's what's important. Concentration will arise through a calm awareness that is collecting and expanding, not just through a single point. So yeah, notice the body. Don't be afraid to let the awareness wander through the body. It's your practice. You get to be here. This is your moment. This is your experience. You get to inquire and become curious and make the meditation practice really intimate. Make it your own. And that's what will not only open doors of awareness that are directly useful and valuable to you yourself, but it helps you orient. It helps you have trust in yourself when you come to sit. It makes sitting more enjoyable. It begins to make sense that you would want to come back. So yeah, just scanning through the body. Really important, noticing the attitude that you bring. I say this over and over. The attitude you bring into your practice is really, really important. Kindness, compassion, gentleness, patience. You're spot on. You can involve thinking, especially if there's a lot of thoughts going on. Choose a better thought. You can choose a single word, use it like a mantra. Calm. Ease. Peace. Just use it to stabilize. Don't use it to obsess on. Don't use it as a point of concentration to obsess on the word. Use it skillfully to calm the mind, calm the body. Once that's occurred, release it. Come back to resting in awareness. This isn't just useful when you're on the cushion, by the way. This is really useful in your everyday life, particularly when you start getting agitated, you start getting upset, defensive, angry, toppling into feeling sorry for yourself, feeling sad, getting too worried, any of these kind of states that start to clench up in the body. You don't need to sit on a cushion, just stop, just breathe. As the instruction was given in the guided session, there's going to be a flurry of thoughts going on. No problem. Just use the thoughts to connect back to the sensation that's related to the thought. Once you contact that bodily sensation, release the thought. Thoughts are squirrely, squirmy little things that keep shifting and changing, and you can't grab onto them because they're not really there, for one. So just let them go. You can work with the feeling. You can be with the feeling. That's something that you can soothe and calm. And calming the feeling will transform the thinking as well. So rather than try to get a squirrel to dance in a line with three other squirrels juggling your thoughts, just come back to your body, come back to the direct experience. Some final notes here are, again, no striving. If you haven't picked up on my tone so far, in talking about this practice, it's about relaxing. It's not about getting anywhere. It's not about arriving anywhere. Um, it's certainly not about improving ourselves. And it's certainly not about doing it right or getting it right. And it's certainly not about trying to be a better person. All of this baggage, all of this pressure um, makes it more difficult for that awareness to be soft, for the body to feel safe. Just relieve yourself of any kind of criticism or comparison or agenda when you sit. Just be with what's there. The identity, the sense of self that wants to improve itself is actually part of the problem. It's fictional, and you can't really improve it because it has a habit of feeling insufficient. So no matter what you do to improve, it will continue to manufacture a sense of insufficiency. So rather than engage the thoughts, and it is thoughts that say, I need to better myself, I need to do better, I need to improve, I need to get somewhere, I need to attain enlightenment, I need to attain something. Those thoughts are the ones that you're just letting them drift off and come to the physical body, to the felt sense of the body. Those thoughts have energies associated with them. You can sit with them and you start soothing and calming those energies, and those thoughts, they just stop making sense because you start realizing that they're not really about you. They're just a habit of thinking. So no striving. Really don't strive. This is relaxed. It's like laying in a hammock. You just chill. Instead of that type of competitive, forcing sense, sensitivity, number one, be sensitive to the body. Allow yourself to open up. Meditation, as I've said many, many times to many of you, is the willingness to feel. It's a very, very bare bones definition of meditation. It's the willingness to feel, the willingness to be present in this moment with these sensations. So sensitivity is key. Compassion, kindness, a sense of generosity, a sense of love for what's here. And here's something that is kind of like I'd say it's a secret, but it's so obvious. This compassion, this kindness, this generosity, this love, this stable attention, they're already manifestations of awakening. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere you need to get to. This is it. And I'll say that again. This is it. As they say, now or never. It's now. There's no attainment other than awakening through awareness, where the heart opens now. There's nowhere to get to. And you can rest. You can rest. It's loving awareness. You rest in it. You rest in loving awareness. Whatever's here is welcome. That's the most fundamental practice. Whether it's attending to the breathing or any other object, what we're getting at is arriving here and realizing. Realization, the word realization, happens here and now. This is it. Good luck with that. We talked about, this is just a note here at the end, we talked about the Brahma Viharas a few weeks ago, these sublime abodes or sublime dwellings. And this is in synchrony with what I just said. These mental states of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, or an unbiased, open heart. these four energies that really interblend with each other. They're dwellings. They're not called the sublime destinations that you need to strive to get to. They're the sublime dwellings in which you can dwell. That they are present when the heart opens. They're already here. Allow the body and the mind to calm and soften. The heart will open. If you're unfamiliar with hearing the word heart from meditation instructors or meditation teachings, I just like to say, just to wrap up here, this is kind of a closing remark here, that when I say the word heart, I'm referring to the word chitta, which is spelled C-I-T-T-A, chitta. And most commonly it's translated as mind. In our culture, in our linguistic tradition in English, the word mind often connotes intellect, the conceptualizing mind, the speech-oriented mind, the language-oriented mind. And the word mind doesn't quite suit the word chitta fully. Chitta involves not only the perceptive, conceptual mind, but also all of the energies we consider to be the heart. This sensitivity, tenderness, softness. There's one teacher that calls it the soft spot. There's a immense, raw, vulnerable tenderness, and that's what chitta refers to. This vibrantly alive, intelligent, perceptive, sensitive awareness. And that's when I say the word heart, that's what I'm referring to. I think the word heart really comes closer than the word mind. I might sometimes use the word heart-mind. But heart is really what we're getting at. The opening of the heart is awakening. And it's here, and it's now. As Thich Nhat Hanh says so often, I have arrived, I am home. So thank you very much for listening to that talk. It's a bit longer than some of my other talks, but so it goes. Let's see where we are. Okay. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments, I really look forward to talking with you all about this in the Zoom meeting room, which we will switch over to after the live stream is done. Getting the technologies working is still new for me, so if for any reason the link to the Zoom room does not work when I end the live stream, I will open a new Zoom room and I will post that Zoom room information on the Wake Up Dallas Yes Facebook page. Hopefully we won't have to do that, but if that does happen, give me 3 or 4 minutes and I will do my best to send you another link to a new meeting, okay? Thank you very, very much. At this point in time, we will do some announcements. Okay, that's where we are. So the first announcement I'd like to make is that the Dallas Meditation Center is fully funded by donations. And if you would like to donate, I encourage you to donate. Please look in the description of this YouTube live stream. It will also be in the description of the video that gets posted later. And you can donate through the website. There's an SMS text message number that you can text and donate that way. It's very easy, doesn't take very long, and your contributions really, really help keep all of these offerings going. The DMC really has a lot of overhead expenses, and it takes each and every one of us contributing to make it happen. Um, the reason that we're here, the reason that you're here enjoying these offerings is because many, many people before you have contributed. So I encourage you to look in your heart and see what it would feel like to make a contribution that would then also allow others to benefit in the same way that you have. So when you make the donation, I encourage you not to see it as a fee that's paying for your personal experience in this moment, but as a gift that is allowing others to continue benefiting in the same way that you have. So thank you very much for considering that. Other announcements, we have offerings most days of the week. Sunday at 5 p.m. We have Mondays at 7:30 p.m. We have Tuesdays today at 7. We have Wednesdays at 7:30. Monday through Friday from noon to 12:45, we have the lunchtime Zen to Go meditation, which is a quick practice that you can do. Miles is hosting that, and she's doing a great job. It's a great way to put some mindfulness, some practice into the middle of your day, almost every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So check that out. Other than that, I think that is all. If there are any personal announcements, you can tell me in the Zoom meeting, and we can do that there. So I'm going to do the closing chant. We're going to close up on the YouTube live stream. When I close up, stick around and I will do my best to figure out how to copy and paste the Zoom meeting information into the chat box of the live stream. I may have to shut down the YouTube live stream just a couple of minutes after I do that. So if you're interested and don't have the link, please be on it and click on it or copy paste it so you can get there in a timely fashion before the YouTube live stream ends, and you'll have to kind of search around YouTube to find it again. Again, thank you for your patience with the technology. Really appreciate that. Okay, so without further ado, thank you very much for being here. We will do the 4 vows of awakening beings. Again, if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to recite a line. If you feel comfortable and inspired, you can recite it yourself at home. If not, just listen. DMC is not promoting any particular dogma. You don't have to be any particular religion to be here. Take what feels good to you and leave all the rest aside. Please feel welcome to feel comfortable here just as you are. And thank you for being here. So we'll begin with 3 sounds of the bell. And with hands together at the heart, countless beings we vow to free. Ceaseless afflictions we vow to end. Limitless truth doors we vow to open. The deepest paths of awakening we vow to realize. And bringing the hands to the heart one last time. At the sound of the small bell, we will bow to ourselves, our practice, and each other. Okay, thank you very much, and I will be posting that Zoom information shortly, and in about 3 or 4 minutes I will be over in the Zoom meeting room, so hope to see many or all of you there. Thanks for being here.